Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I'd like to give a shout out to my hometown, Itta Bena, Mississippi. I've been there a couple of times, and I've made several posts about my hometown. And it seems as if the visits are really nice. I mean, I've gotten thousands and thousands on most of the posts, not all of them, but most of them. And that means that the people are interested in what I'm saying. And I'm saying some stuff that I'm hoping that everybody's interested in. I remember the town when I was growing up, we had mud roads. Really, mud roads. And this town has endured since that time, and we've made some progress, but in relationship to what we should have done, we are still nowhere like it is mostly across this country. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why it's so important to me that we wake up, we recognize what's really going on. How many people know who you really are, why you are? I want to say, if you don't know, you probably don't, so let me just go and tell you. You are instruments of God. You are endowed with the spirit of the living God. And why are you here? You are here in all of the numbers to do a God divine work, to be a creator. You are an extension of God. If there are 8 billion of us here, or if there have been trillions of us here, it's all an extension of God to create. And yet, at the same time, there's an opposition to destroy and to tear down. But we still exist, and we are still moving on. And even though we find ourselves in a dark moment today, we are beginning to move on up. That the sun might shine, and those that are in darkness might see, and those that are in cold might feel the warmth of love that says, here I am, even for you in your coldness. So what am I saying, ladies and gentlemen? We have to watch out for certain things. I remember there was a time, just to give you an example of what the exploitation can be reduced to many times. I went to, in the 90s, there was a gang meeting in Minnesota. I think the minister, I think Louis Farrakhan, we're going to bring all the people together, all the gang members together and meet here, made some agreements with the people here in Minnesota. And they assembled here. And it was a great moment in time to see these gang members come together and parlay and have some minister, someone that they respected. And most of them, the gang members, were black, so you had a person who they respected, black, the minister, Louis Farrakhan. And so we assembled, we talked, we dialogued. And to say, how meetings are, they are over, and then people go back and they do their thing. Either they engage in something new, or they try to just, see if they can advance what they were doing already. At the same time, we still live in the same kind of environment. We don't see the gangs as prevalent today as then, but I remember going to the gang members once. I was thinking, gang members seem to have got some courage that is required that people who love God do. Gang members know the rules and regulations of society. They put that aside and they say to hell with that. They're going to do whatever they figure they can get away with, and even that they think they can get away with it all. And they do it. So I'm thinking, if these guys can put their focus on God and stand up for what's right, put their focus on now, we're not going to accept the fact that there's pain and suffering going on in our communities. We're not just going to look out for ourselves, we're going to look out for everybody else, because that's the way God wants it. We're going to make sure that people got food, clothing, and shelter. I'm thinking, if these guys, stand up for stuff like that, mean it, because the Christians not doing that. So I went to him one day, I was going to talk to him, I met one of the leaders. We parlayed for a moment, and I wanted to speak to them. So we set up an arrangement, we're going to get together, and several days before getting together, there was a white guy. I was at another event, heard me speaking about kind of things like I talk about now to bring us together. And this guy wanted to be a part of it. So I'm thinking, right, sure, I'd love to bring the brother along. But when I went to the meeting, the guys were kind of apprehensive. They didn't even want to talk once they saw the white guy, because they had no respect for the white guy. They don't know what I knew, but they know what they wasn't going to trust, being around no white guy. And so the leader and I spoke together, and he told me what was going on. But what amazed me is even that when I was coming to the meeting, they brought a preacher with them. And I'm thinking, the little conversation that we did have, it seems as if the preacher thought I came maybe to destroy them or something, and he needed to be there to give them the word, the scripture that would justify them doing whatever they're doing. So, I expected not that, but anyway, we didn't have that meeting. And one of the other guys I got a chance to speak to on the side, and his question asked me was this: well, whatever you were talking about, brother, do we get paid? Do we get a check? I'm here thinking, now this is something else. I'm here talking about liberating society, and these brothers being instruments with their boldness and the things that they will do that others refuse to do, giving it power to cause it to happen. And they asked me, do they get a check? Well, but what brings me to that attention? Do we get a check? When I ran for president of the United States, the first time, I was so excited. Man, was I excited. Everything you've been waiting for. Look, I finally got it. It's like the guy who came up with the computer. I bet when he was doing all the stuff that he was doing, that one moment when it all came together, how excited he felt. The guy on the telephone, that one moment, how excited it was. The guy on the telegraph, that one moment, the television, that one moment, how exciting, the car, that one moment, the plane, that one moment. It was an exciting moment, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. And when I saw how we can have peace and prosperity and saw what it was all about, I was so excited. I'm thinking, I got to run for president. I can't do this. Well, look here, you never ran for office. Look, what I got to tell, man, I can't run for anything else but president. And I'm running out there, I'm thinking, I'm running to the papers, I'm running to the radios, I'm running to the television. Tell society we can answer this. We got solutions to the problems. And I'm not running for the office right now. I mean, even before then, I'm telling, let's get the message out there. Let everybody know. Let's talk. Let's engage. The media was telling me, you got to pay to play. You think that didn't shock me? I'm thinking about society. All the stuff they've been praying for and pray for. Answer. And I come here and say, I got it, and you tell me, well, if you want them to know it, you got to pay. I didn't have no, that was an insult. I wasn't going to ask you for any money to pay, to tell you about your liberation. If you want to know about the liberation, if I tell one, you start it. If I tell one, you start it, and let them start it. 2 started, 3 started. Let it start spreading like that cancer that we all get every now and then. We black people, black men, you know what I'm talking about? Spread. Why? Because it's something that you really want, something you believe in. But now if it doesn't come across the radio, TV, or newspaper, can't be nothing to it. You know how the game is played. And so that's what we end up doing. My point, ladies and gentlemen, is this. We put it off. We talk about an election and then another election. And we talk about perhaps these things won't happen. But we need to spend our focus saying these things can happen and they are going to happen and they're going to happen now. Listen, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know about you, but pain is nothing that I want to maintain. And I believe you feel the same way. Suffering is something I do not want to endure, and I believe you feel the very same way. And when you go through challenges that have you stressful and you can't deal with this and deal with that, and you find yourself doing things that you wouldn't do normally, but you find yourself engaged in it when it might be destructive to your own being, but you find yourself trying to find some kind of relief because there's no answer that you know of, but there is an answer. There is an answer. You got to change your mind. You got to definitely change your mind. And that's what I want you to know, that you can change your mind. But you got to have a reason to change your mind. The reason is the truth. That's enough to change your mind. What is the truth? The truth is that you really are magnificent. Oh, I didn't mean to talk this long. It just seems to get so good every time I start telling you this. You really are magnificent. When I say you came here as instruments of God to create, you might say, to create what? Let me tell you, the first things that you create are those things that are essential for your survival. You create as much food, as much clothing, as much shelter, as much education, as much health care, as much transportation, as much infrastructure, as much anything that you can imagine in and abundance, using the resources that's been given to us by the power that we can't see. Wasn't man, wasn't black man, white man, American, African, nobody. Utilizing the gifts that we have to engage in the process of causing a manifestation that our barns won't hold, the rivers will overflow. And everybody's touched by the gifts of peace and prosperity and freedom and joy in their lives. The things that they want, need, and desire is there for their leisure. And then, for us to have the opportunities to go beyond here, to go out into outer space and see what's happening out there with the moon and those other galaxies that we've been talking about. Give us a chance to grow and explore. Let God live through our imagination and be made real through our hands. Sitting up here trying to hate and be a racist and a bigot because we're following the dictates of men who deny God. Come on, wake up. This is what I want you to do. I want you to wake up and know that the power to do all of these things is simple. First of all, you got to change your way of thinking and make it the fantastic way, that way that works for all of us. And when we get at the table to debate, negotiate, we get up knowing that everybody is satisfied. If that ain't so, sit back down. Not time to go. Not yet. This is beautiful. We can't mess it up. We got to do it right. We got to do it real. Do it real. We're making sure, my friends, that none of us got a reason to hate the other. We're not living in a system any longer that says some do and some don't. Some will and some won't. My friends, we all fail, that's on God. If we all rise, that's on us because we got faith to make what we didn't know with our visual eyes could see with our spiritual eyes. And now it's made manifest before all of us.